working on is just fascinating. So I think it would be very, very appropriate that Rajiv also brings out from the minister areas which are strictly, if I may say, not in the honorable minister's domain of long responsibility, but going away from that, and also to speak about India's contribution and India's work it has been doing on economic management. With that, again, I welcome the honorable minister and would request Rajiv to really take forward this conversation. You come here and thereafter have a conversation from there. Come.
Thank you very much, CB. I'm going to do this very quickly. Very warm welcome to you, sir, once again. Thank you so much for coming. I mean, everyone knows his formal ministries and everything else that he covers, so I'm not going to repeat that. The only thing I would say, and I say this for myself and a lot of others also, his articulation. I mean, I've obviously listened to some of his speeches, but also if you go on YouTube, his articulation of data, facts, whether it's about the Indian economy, whether it's about telecom, whether it's about IT, whether it's about data protection, whether it's about the progress in railways, progress in bullet train, is really outstanding. So hopefully, if we will request him, if he can make some introductory remarks, and then we can have a conversation around that. But just to set the context a little bit, I think the piece that I really want to cover is around the digital innovation that is happening in India. And I think it'll be great to get the minister's perspective on that, because not only is it fueling economic growth, but is also giving a very, very significant competitive advantage to India. And today, when we talk to top business leaders, when we talk to government, even if you look at, say, someone like Satya Nadella and everything, what fascinates them about India, apart from the size of the economy, democracy, and everything, is the digital goods that India has built. And it started with technology and IT services, which is now, I would say, India is pretty much becoming the office of the world with almost $200 billion of revenue. The telecom ministry, which I know the minister is very passionately involved with, 1.2 billion subscribers, 800 million broadband users, largest per capita consumption of data anywhere in the world, and also lowest cost. So, the building blocks of the technology sector and telecom are really helping us on the digital innovation. I'm sure he will talk about a little bit about the India stack, sir. I think that's always very, very fascinating to hear. But just to give some color to that on the India stack and how it's enabling, whether and I would especially want to talk a little bit about the financial inclusion that we are seeing through the India stack, whether it's opening of bank accounts, almost $400 billion, $360 billion of money being transferred through bank accounts directly through DBT, 40% of the digital real-time payments happening through UPIs, 40% of the global digital real-time payments happening through UPIs. The farmers, almost 110 million farmers receiving money directly in their bank accounts. So the speed and power at which this is happening is phenomenal. So whether it's on ease of doing business, whether it's on compliance, whether it's on formalization of the Indian economy, whether it's the entire startup ecosystem that's being built in India. If you talk to any startup today, and it's one of the largest startup ecosystems that we are building, it's all on the India stack. So whether it's UPI, Aadhaar, and the credit, India has got one of the lowest credit to GDP ratio. Private credit to GDP ratio is almost 55%. And it's now rapidly accelerating because of the UPI, the data that's available through the UPI network. And I would also say it's a great opportunity as India becomes part of and leading the G20. I know there's a lot of interest in governments around the world to try and see if some parts of the India stack, whether it's developed nations like US, whether it's countries like Indonesia and others, how are they leveraging some of the components of India stack around the world? And that has a massive multiplier impact on the economy. If you look at the growth of the Indian economy from 2014 onwards, if I look at the average GDP growth, the digital economy growth is 2.5 times the average GDP growth. And that shows what the future business opportunity and where business growth is really happening. So with that, I will now, Honorable Minister, I think it will be great if we can have some introductory remarks, and then we'll leave it to you. You want to do more Q&A, you want to talk about this, we will go with. But I think some introductory remarks would be really helpful in setting the context. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
So, how many watched RRR? अभी भी कुछ हाथ नीचे है. That's bad. It has to be 100%, यार. नहीं देखा तो आज पक्का देख लेना. Please go and watch it. Give a big round of applause for RRR and Elephant Whispers. They have made us proud. What's more important is the regional flavor of Indian languages and Indian culture, the diversity of Indian culture that is being celebrated on a global platform today. That's the beauty of it. Friends, I was telling Mr. Memani that instead of a speech, why can't we have a fully interactive session? We could actually have a completely Q&A that might be more easier, because this is just before the lunch time. I'm sure most of the minds would be somewhere else, not in this room. So I'll make a very short introductory remarks, and then we'll quickly move on to a Q&A session. Is that okay with you? Fine? Let's go that way? Okay. So first point that I'll make is about the way Indian economy was very deftly managed to come out of COVID and get onto a very consistent growth path. The second point I'll make about is the capex, the capital investment that is happening in railways and how it is transforming. And third point I'll make is about the India stack and the India telecom stack. Very quickly, these 3 points. We all know, friends, that whether it is an individual or a family or a company or a nation, the capital that is available to us is always limited. It is never unlimited. I believe there are some new theories which are coming, which says that after the fiat money, after 1971, everything has changed and capital is now unlimited. Don't believe that. Don't believe that. Reality is capital is always limited. How a nation, how a company, or how a family uses that capital, that makes a big difference in the outcomes. So when COVID hit all of us, and we are from different countries out here, when COVID hit all of us, there were two very distinct approaches that different countries adopted. There is a set of very rich countries which adopted a policy of, okay, write down checks, send out the checks, let consumption be the focus. That was the prescription that many Nobel laureates actually gave, many senior economists gave, even to India. What did India do? How was it different from the richer economies? The difference was in the approach to the problem. Should you go for a Coke-induced sugar rush, or should you go for focused consumption and making sure that the economy can get onto a proper productivity gain, a consistent growth path, and a sustainable growth path? What is a better way? Our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, he decided to adopt a path which had a very good combination of very focused consumption. What was that consumption? 800 million people getting free food grains. 1.3 billion people getting free vaccines. About 100 million, 10 crore, 100 million farmers, the small farmers getting regular cash benefit. Of course, that's all done digitally. Just press the button. You don't have to write checks in India anymore. The Prime Minister presses a button and the entire amount goes into people's accounts. So that focused consumption, along with taking up a program of public investment. So if you see the budget of 2020, the budget of 2021, the budget of 2022, and the budget of 2023, you will see a very clear, very well thought through, very consistent policy, economic policy that the government has taken. In the budget of 2020, the public investment was about 3.5 trillion rupees. That would be about 25 billion US. More than that? Just do a guess, do the math. Budget of 21, 40 billion. Budget of 21, this was increased to 5.5 trillion rupees. Budget of 22, this was increased to 7.5 trillion rupees. And in the budget of 23, this was increased to 10 trillion rupees. Why this was done? We are an economy which is today growing at a 6 to 8% growth rate, good consistent growth, healthy growth rate. How do we make sure that this growth remains sustainable growth and inflation doesn't come to pull us down? As we have seen in the richer economies, when the consumption-based approach was followed by the richer economies, there was a simultaneous surge in inflation, something which has not happened in almost 4 decades. That is today happening in the richer economies. Why that happened? Because that was primarily a money supply induced inflation. Of course, quite a significant part of it is equally attributable to the supply chain disruptions, but a large part of it is attributable to the heavy money supply which went into the economy. India, in its combination of focused consumption and a clearly defined public investment path, could achieve a very good combination where growth and moderate inflation can be together seen in the economy. Our inflation is primarily imported inflation because our energy dependence on imports is very high, and that's why our inflation is primarily, India's inflation is primarily an imported inflation. But rest of the stuff in the economy is today, because of this policy of very consistent public investment and very focused consumption, is today on a path where we are seeing very significant rise in employment creation, very moderate inflation, and a consistent 6 to 8% growth rate. The data that my friends from the CII should be able to share, our capacity utilization is today of the order of about 75 to 90% in some of the industries, but consistently 75 to 80%. And that's the time when the private capex starts kicking in. The job creation, if you look at the data from the Employee Provident Fund Organization, EPFO, which is where every employee who joins or leaves has to be registered, is of the order of 1.3 million per month. 1.3 million per month. That's a significant number. That's a good number. Very healthy number. Inflation at 6.4 was the latest print, and that's very seasonal. That's very spike. That's in a sense a spike. But inflation in a growing economy, in an economy which has its challenges that we face today, anywhere below 6, anywhere between 4.5 to 6 is a good number. And I think we are on track to achieve that. So with this growth path and this growth strategy, we think that India is on a very consistent growth path. And I request all the delegates present here, and especially the international delegates also, that look at your capex plans very carefully. You might find that if you were thinking that demand which is going to be there in 2026 or 27, you might find that the demand has actually advanced to today. So look at your capex plans very carefully and start aggressively thinking at your capex plans, because the way demand is really spiraling up might catch you by surprise. So that's my first point. My second point is about the capex, the capital investment in railways. As you know, friends, railway makes a very huge difference in nation's logistics cost. The cost of transporting goods, and especially the bulk goods, by railways is almost a fourth of the cost of transporting goods by road. So if you have more share of railway, then the country's logistics cost will actually come down, dramatically come down. That's why many countries target something like at least 35% to 40% rail share. If the geographical area of a country is large, then that is supposed to be an ideal rail share compared to road share. For a very long period, for a very almost like 4 or 5 decades, the investment that was happening in railways was very small. 2014 onwards, investment started picking up. From something like 20,000 crore, it increased to 40,000 crore, then it increased to 80,000 crore, then it increased to 1,11,000 crore, then it got increased to 1,59,000 crore. And this year's budget of 23, the capital investment in railways has been, allocation is 2,41,000 crore. That's historic. And that's going to fundamentally change the productivity of India's economy. What are we doing with it? First, increasing the capacity, especially at the bottlenecks. We have identified about 70 bottlenecks which need to be seriously, where the capacity needs to be seriously increased over the coming 2 to 3 years. Actually, before that, within next 2 years. Second, increasing the rolling stock. So we have placed orders for 85,000 wagons, for 1,200 locomotives, and now on an average we will be procuring about 1,000 plus locomotives. Third, changing the passenger experience, having new stations built. 1,275 stations we are taking up. Already work has started on about 100 of them. And many of these stations, if you see the YouTube and other social media posts, you'll find that these stations are being developed at a totally new scale, totally new type of design. Fourth, new trains, new design of trains, totally new passenger experience. So the Vande Bharat train, as you are aware, has taken the country by storm, and people are really appreciating the train's design. The noise level inside Vande Bharat train is 100 times less than the noise level inside the aeroplane. That's the beauty of the design. The train reaches 0 to 100 in 52 seconds, whereas every comparable train will do that 0 to 100 pickup or acceleration in like 55 seconds or 56 or 60 seconds. That's the beauty of design. If you stand in the train, you will feel as if you are standing in this hall. Absolutely no vibrations, no shaking, no jerks. That's the beauty of the design. I wish I had brought that presentation. I didn't know the format is this. I thought this format was more like that CEO's forum when we did this CII partnership forum last time. So I didn't bring that presentation. Otherwise, if you see that, it's amazing. And the entire train has been designed in India by our own engineers, by our own people. I wanted to show you one small little video. Maybe some of you might have seen this. If you have not seen, take a look at this. When the train is being tested at 100 80 kilometers per hour. This is the glass of water. Can you see this glass of water? This glass of water is standing placed on the driver's cabin, and the water doesn't spill, the glass doesn't shake. At 180 kmph, existing tracks, not the still to be made excellent new tracks. That's the beauty of this design. And all this is possible because our Prime Minister has given us that vision that we start believing in our own talent, develop things, we'll make mistakes, learn from those mistakes, iterate, and keep developing new things. So whether it is a telecom stack for 4G and 5G, or India stack for digital connectivity and digital technologies, or the physical world like the stations and railway, new train sets, everywhere the thought process, the energy in the country is immense, whether it is a hydrogen mission or inclusive. So yesterday, day before yesterday, I posted the first woman loco pilot. How many of you saw that? You saw that? You feel pride? What's your name? How do you feel about it? So 2 women loco pilots running the Vande Bharat train at 180 kmph. Doesn't it make you feel proud of the country? That's the change which is happening, friends. I've taken more time than I thought I'll take. So I'll close the opening remarks here, and let's go for a Q&A, more like interactive session. Is that fine with you? Great, thanks.
Maybe I can ask 1 or 2 questions and set the stage, and then we'll open it up.
Perfectly okay.
Yeah.
So I prefer standing. That's okay.
Okay. So if I translate the numbers that the Honorable Minister said, so if you look at an inflation lower band, he said inflation of 4.5% to 6%. If I take the lower band of inflation of 4.5%, he talked of GDP growth of 6 to 8%. If I take 6%, and if I roll it for next 25 years, from 3.5 trillion, we will be $26 trillion economy. From $2,500 per capita income, it'll be $15,000 per capita income. So 6 times multiplication in per capita income over a period of 25 years.
Excellent.
So it's a fantastic. So I think how we achieve that is the real story. So sir, before we, there are a bunch of people who requested for questions, and we'll open it up later. But one of the services sector is established, a lot of things are happening. On the manufacturing side, one of the key questions people ask is on the entire semiconductor. What is the progress on the semiconductor manufacturing? When will the plants be coming? The current partnership that we are starting to talk with US. So it'll be good to get your perspective on that, because that will lay the foundation for technology, electronic manufacturing.
So I'll take this question in 2 parts. First part is the demand picture. Second part is what we are doing to address it. The demand picture, if you look at India's electronics manufacturing 10 years back, it was practically negligible. There was very little electronics manufacturing. So I'll do a very small quiz here. 10 years back, out of 100 mobile phones that Indians used, we used in India, how many were imported? I think most of you are correct, 99%. Today, out of the 100 phones that we use in India, how many are made in India? 99%. That's the change. 99% imported versus 99% made in India. And now the ecosystem is also shifting to the country. So that's where the demand is. Today, electronics manufacturing is close to $87 billion industry in the country. Mobile phone manufacturing, I think India is already number 2 in terms of manufacturing, number 3 in terms of exports. This year, the mobile phone export will be touching something like 9.5 to 10 billion US. That's the demand picture. Now, what are we doing to solve the supply side? On the supply side, there are three major initiatives we have taken. First, get the ecosystem. Second, have a very clearly laid out policy framework. Any investor who would like to come to India would like to have a very stable and consistent policy framework. Third, focus on creating the semiconductor industry. This is a new industry for India. It's not something which can happen overnight, right? It requires persistent efforts, requires tremendous focus, requires huge engagement with the stakeholders. What we have done so far is we have practically touched base with every possible stakeholder in the industry, the gas manufacturers, the chemical manufacturers, the photolithography equipment suppliers, practically every stakeholder in the semiconductor industry we have touched base with. What has been our approach? Our approach has been, yes, we know it's a new industry. Yes, we know it's going to be an uphill task, but we are committed to do what is required to succeed. We clearly established a benchmark of very high say-do ratio. So as and when somebody came and spoke with us, we said, just tell us 1, 2, 3, 4 items that you would like us to focus on and work on. And believe you me, each and every stakeholder who has interacted with us comes back for the second meeting, says that, yes, India, what you said, you have done. This is the feedback each and every time when we talk with them. This is the feedback we get. And that is what is creating that credibility. And that is what is today leading us to almost an inflection point where the first fab should be declared in coming few weeks. And that is just the beginning. That is just the beginning. We see the kind of interest which is there from so many other stakeholders, so many other semiconductor industry participants, that we believe that with the work that the country is doing today, both the industry and the government, the way things are moving, the state as well as center, we should see a vibrant semiconductor industry in the coming 3 to 4 years. That's what I can say now. Few weeks, you'll have to wait for the announcements.
Excellent, excellent. I had few more questions, but we'll open it up for the audience here and then. Mr. Robert Lee Appledom, yes, please. You have a...
Mr. Minister, I'm an attorney from South Africa and I operate across the continent. And we witness India's strength in creating the India stack for mass rollout across sectors like payments, identity, healthcare, and more. So how do you share this expertise with the rest of the world?
Thank you. Excellent question. I'll use that mic because I need both my hands. So, what is India stack? If we see the India stack, basically it's a very good example of public-private partnership. The payment stack. So since you asked the question about the payment stack to begin with, the payment stack is basically one platform which was created by public investment. That is the Unified Payment Interface. This is basically an open protocol which understands, like a good conductor, where the payment has to transact, where the transaction originates and where the transaction has to end, and make sure that the transaction happens seamlessly, flawlessly, in very little time. Then the banks joined, more than 300 banks have joined, millions of businesses joined, e-commerce companies joined, insurance companies joined, fintech startups joined, a very large ecosystem of small, medium, large businesses, they all joined. And then 1.2 billion people joined this platform. That is what the payment ecosystem is. one platform on which everybody has joined, right? That gives the power where no single company or no single player can dominate the country's payment economy. This is very different from the approach that many other countries took. Here we followed, our Prime Minister was very keen in 2016 when he launched Digital India. One of the fundamental points that he raised, one of the fundamental policy directives that he set was that we should not let some big tech companies monopolize our economy. We should make sure that the fruits of Digital India should reach each and every participant in the economy. That was his primary policy objective, and that's how this was created. Then the same process was followed in the CoWIN. In CoWIN, again, we created one platform. All the vaccine manufacturers joined, the clinics and hospitals joined, the state governments joined, the airlines which have to manage the cold chain, the supply chain, they joined. Everybody joined and 1.2 billion people joined. And that's why we are able to give almost 2.2 billion doses of COVID vaccine, and the certificate comes absolutely immediately online. Imagine the power of such population level solutions, right? And what I wanted to share with you is that our Prime Minister has authorized us, any country which would like to use these solutions, we very humbly offer it to you. This is our contribution to the world, because we believe that it's one planet, one family, and one future.
Excellent. I've seen a lot of the way people have explained, but sir, the way in which you explained the India stack and especially the payment stack was really outstanding. Mr. Gugi Larea from Amphori, Belgium.
Thank you very much. Amphori is an association of 2,500 businesses, including businesses linked to India. Globally, 4 elements significantly contribute to the current digital divide: affordability, accessibility, availability, and knowledge. Which of these is the most important factor, and how should it be tackled? And furthermore, how do you see digitalization contributing to sustainable trade?
All the 4 are equally important, I would say. Affordability is very, very important. In the case of India, if you go 7 years back, 8 years back, the cost per GB was about 200 rupees cost of data. So your point about affordability. Today it is just about 14 rupees. So it has come down almost 1/10 of the, less than that, about 1/7 of the cost which was earlier there. How did it happen? How did it happen? It happened because we laid a very clear policy framework for the telecom sector. Today, we all know telecom sector is the entry to digital world. That's where the first force comes in. Make sure that the telecom sector is stable, healthy, competitive, and you can create a situation where data will be digital, will be affordable. Second, accessibility. There would always be challenges in making sure that data connectivity reaches out to the last person in the society, to the most vulnerable sections, to the most far-reaching areas. And that's where public investment will have to come in. In our case, in India, our Prime Minister was very clearly focused. Each and every person in the country should be able to get high quality broadband, high quality 4G, high quality 5G services. That's why we are investing about 45,000 crore. That would be about $8 billion in providing telecom services, 4G and 5G telecom services to the last mile. The third point which I like to emphasize is there is a time, the time has come when we need at least one more trusted source in telecom technology. The world is today dominated by a very few handful of players. And that is a barrier in many ways. So we in India decided to develop a world-class telecom stack end to end. The radio network, the core network, the network management system, the billing management system, the entire stack of telecom technology. We took a challenge. It was not an easy challenge, but we took that as a challenge. And within a short time frame of 2.5 years, the telecom stack, which is today world-class and on many parameters it is better than the established players, is today ready, getting deployed as we speak. And very recently we tested it for 10 million simultaneous calls. Initially we tested it for 1 million simultaneous calls. It worked very well. Some people said that no, if you increase the capacity, if you increase the load, it might fail. So we tested it for 5 million simultaneous calls. Then in last December, we tested it for 10 million simultaneous calls. Again, this is one more thing that our Prime Minister has authorized us. This is available to the world. We can send our teams to make sure that your companies can use this highly affordable, very, very important technological product.
Safa Sharif from Bahrain. Okay. Yes, please.
So, given the huge budgetary allocation to the railways and the speed of digital transformation we are all witnessing, what are the partnership opportunities in terms of financial and technical collaborations globally?
Financial and technological collaborations globally for railway. Railway is a global industry. It is a global industry. There are very important players all over the world. Our focus is what? Our focus is increase the railways carrying capacity significantly. So you must have seen the numbers in 2021-22, we added close to 184 million tons of additional cargo. This year also we are adding almost 90 million tons additional cargo. So the curve of railway share, which was going like this because of lack of investments, has started shaping up. It has started turning the tide. There are many national and international players who have joined this journey and are supporting this growth. But our focus is, of course, Make in India. Very clearly, any international player who would like to use this huge network as a big source of demand for them is welcome. We'll make sure that you get all the facilities that are needed and come Make in India. Second, design in India. Again, because there is a large talent pool available in the country, use this talent pool and design it in India, for the world. That's the philosophy we are following on the collaborations.
Thank you. Thank you. Vinod is the managing director of Deki
Namaskar,
Electronics.
sir. So first of all, I want to pay my sincere gratitude to you. CII National Council now looks at me with a lot of envy, and you are the reason why they do that. Because from being importers, traders of electronics, we have converted ourselves, as you rightly pointed out, into global manufacturers of global scale today. But as we do this, sir, one of the concerns that we are facing even today and going into the future, specifically because we haven't witnessed technological changes happening at the speed at which we have in the last few years. And our guess is this is only going to accelerate. How do we prepare the skills and talents, not only for ourselves, but also to be able to skill base the entire world? Being the youngest country, I'm sure that people are looking at us also as a source of talent.
That's the biggest challenge the entire technology sector is facing all over the world today. Thank you for raising this point. This is a very, very important point. How we are approaching. Basically, two different paths we are following. The first path is very close integration with the industry. So, for example, the Future Skills Program. How many of you heard about the Future Skills Program? From the IT industry, I'm sure at least 20, 30, 30 odd hands are raised. Thank you. So that means it is popular. In a group like this, if 30 hands are raised, that means it's popular. What is the program? The program is basically in the final or the pre-final semester at college, the industry comes in and gives a course curriculum which will make the student ready as that student comes out of the college. That's the fundamental crux of the program. Close to, by now, I think about 700,000 students have benefited out of it. Close to 700,000 students have been benefited out of it. The approach, that's one approach where we are constantly interacting with the industry and making sure that the industry relevant skills are available, industry relevant education is available to the students. The second stream is changing the entire education policies or the education sector's structural change. What is that structural change? That structural change is the new education policy. That new education policy basically gives a very flexible construct to the colleges and universities. They can design the course curriculums. The schools can have vocational education with them. In a sense, the good models that we see in Northern Europe, in Germany, in Austria, in Belgium, in Switzerland, and the excellent model of higher education that we see in North America, Canada, and US, it's basically drawing all those good elements from wherever we can learn and put it in a policy framework. So these are the two separate tracks that we are following. It's difficult.
Thank you. Shantini Raja, CEO, R Square Technologies.
First, I would like to congratulate and really so inspired to listen about the Make in India. So representing Bahrain delegation, I'm so proud to be here. And though I belong to the IT sector where I'm a founder of a fintech company, but I would like to ask the question regarding the bullet train. When can we see the first bullet train? And what are all the plans which we are going to do it to make it across India? Thank you.
Excellent. It's so close to my heart. It's so close to our Prime Minister's heart. Thank you for asking this. Bullet Train is a project that is fundamentally changing the way we work. The project execution, the quality of construction, the absorption of the design, the challenges that we face day in and day out working in our reality. How do we make sure that we create a world-class project in absolutely good time? So let's have a quiz then. The first foundation of the pillar was in August 2021. This is now 22 gone, 2023 March, right? By now, how many kilometers of pillars would have been done in the country? Some guess? Somebody has seen my presentation somewhere. That's a cheat sheet. Excellent. So 154 kilometers of bullet trains, pillars done in a short time frame of 1.5 years. That's the pace at which the project is moving forward. The rest of the systems are all getting tendered out. We had some problems in the state of Maharashtra, but as soon as we had a change in government, immediately the new government, Mr. Devendra Fadnavis and Mr. Shindeji, they immediately gave the permissions, and now we have started working on that also. Right now, we are targeting 2026 August as the date for running the first train, and 2027 for a larger section being opened. But what's important here? Each and every of those large machines that you see, and I'll sincerely request you to check out on your YouTube and other social media platforms and see the construction work, see the way things are progressing. Most of the large equipment that we see in those construction works, after the initial first or second machine, every other machine has been designed in India. After getting the first few molds manufactured somewhere else, every other mold of those large girders is designed in India. And what's more important is, many of these manufacturers have already started getting export orders. So this is the way things can change by one project. We'll be doing many more such projects as we learn this art.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Why don't you say what the speed of work is?
Because we have been seeing the lots of work which is happening at a very different speed. We have been supplying equipments to all other projects. If you compare it with them, this project and the timeline been given to mobilize the equipments is very, very fast. We have recently mobilized one 400-ton crane for this girder launching and other projects over there at Gujarat.
Good. You are
Bharuch section. Rather.
happy with the pace?
Very nice, sir. Very nice.
Good.
Very nice. And the payments are also very good. That's the main.
Actually,
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much to the Modi government. Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I like to share one very small point, which is very, very important from the industry point of view. Prime Minister Modi ji, he said that, can you take out the the biggest risk in any government contract? And how did when we attempted that target, we found that payment risk is the biggest risk in any contract. How did we solve it? Today, in most of the railway contracts, if the payment is not done within 30 days of the invoice, then the government will pay a interest to you. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? That's unheard of in any government contract. But that has started happening. The psychological impact it has on the people who are managing the contract is, if I have to pay interest, then my job is gone. So instead of the contractors running after the government offices, it's the reverse, and everything is digital. Everything is digital. I think time-wise,
Yes, I think we have a few more minutes.
Parliament session is on. I have to be there.
Yeah, 1:30 will close.
Hyperloop has very good potential. There is a very dedicated, energetic team of youngsters working in IIT Madras. I am the 72nd member of that team, and we are pushing very hard on creating some of those technologies. Yes, it is about 5, 7, 8 years away if you talk realistically, but I sincerely believe that it has very good future. 1. 2, regarding the Bharat OS, yes, excellent initiative taken by one of the startups associated with IIT Madras, and time to ruggedize it, time to make sure that it can be scaled up and it can be used in at least the secure environments where we need absolutely clear control over the operating system. I'm really sorry, but we really need to close this session now. because the parliament is in, session is on, and I need to be there.
So I
Thank
would-
you so much.
I would
Thank
just
you.
like to thank, on behalf of all of you, the Honorable Minister. I mean, you saw he covered a very wide range of topics. And I think the common strand that I saw was